Hello, people of God. My name is Lady Afia Boateng. I am a certified counselor from the Professor Jonyo College of Counseling and Psychology, and also a member of Ghana Association of Christian Counselors. I've been married for 3 years now, and in this video, I've been tasked to talk about the role of psychology in relationships. First of all, let me start by saying that relationships were created by God, and it's a very beautiful thing. And in this current age or in this present world, a lot of young people admire to enter into relationships, but however, it mostly ends up being a disaster, mostly because people do not understand the role of psychology in relationships. They enter into the relationship with their own expectations, and it ends up bad for them. However, as young Christians, we are encouraged to always seek counseling in our relationships. This is because counseling will help us understand ourselves and also understand the person with whom we seek to enter into relationships with. So, what is psychology in the first place? Psychology is basically the study of the mind and behavior. It examines how one behaves or one reacts in a lot of situations, and also an aspect of psychology that impacts our relationships mostly is the area of temperament. The temperament is a natural trait of a person. It actually determines or it forms the emotional aspect of a being, how one reacts and relates to himself and to others. And so with this knowledge in mind, it will help us build our relationships well, and also it will help us build a relationship that glorifies Christ. Amen. So there are five basic temperaments. We have the melancholy, we have the choleric, we have the phlegmatic, the sanguine, and then the supine, which is not really mentioned or which is not really talked about. The melancholy is a thinker. The melancholy is an introvert. He's the one or she's the one that wants to be by himself. And by being by himself, he thinks to a lot of things and is able to re-energize and relate best with himself or herself and also with other people. The choleric is a doer. He is the risk taker, the achiever. The choleric will do anything to ensure that something is done. And also there is the phlegmatic. The phlegmatic is the watcher. He just sits back. The phlegmatic wants to give advice, wants to give you criticisms, constructive criticism, but not really do anything and watch how things unfold. The phlegmatic is the one that says that let's things unfold. Their favorite phrase is "Que sera sera," what will be will be. That's the phlegmatic for you. And then there is the sanguine. The sanguine is the talker. He's the one that dreams big, talks big, and all of that all over the place. That's a sanguine. And then there is the supine. The supine is the one that feels the need to be there for people, feels the need to serve others. And the more they do that, the more they re-energize and they relate better with themselves and with other people. The supine allows for you to ask him or her ask him or her for help. That's the supine for you. And whenever you ask for help, he or she will be available to help you. So those are the five basic temperaments. And we realize that each and every one of us find ourselves in either one of these temperaments. And also, when we seek counseling, we do not only get knowledge about our temperamental traits, we also get the privilege of understanding how we even handle anger management, how we handle apology. Someone apologizes by getting you a gift. Another person will apologize by saying, "I'm sorry." Everyone has the way he or she handles it. And counseling will help you know this one better. Counseling will help you know which one your partner or the one you are in a relationship with loves most. And that's how come the relationship will succeed or thrive. But without all this knowledge and all these resources available to you through counseling and the psychology, you would be at loss, and then your relationship would then head into a ditch. So those are the five basic temperaments that we have. And if you go critically into yourself, you realize that you fall into one of these temperament. And so knowing yourself, where you fall, and how it informs your character, how it informs your behavior, and knowing the other person you seek to be in a relationship with, where he or she also falls, and how his temperament also informs his behavior and emotional intelligence, will help you to understand the relationship that you are in. I always say relationship is not for children. It's not a child's play. It's not try and error. For young Christians like us, that's not what relationships should be about. It should be about an informed decision, knowing what we are actually doing and what we are into. That is what the relationship that we must enter into, and such relationships is that which glorifies Christ. Amen. There are successful engineers that have failed in marriage. There are successful lawyers that have failed in marriage. There are successful bankers that have failed in marriage because they have a lot of knowledge in their field of expertise, but have no knowledge in the field of marriage or relationships. And that's one of the reasons why we need counselors as well in our relationships and in our marriages, because counselors play a variety of roles for us in the area of finances, sex, in the area of decision making, who should take control over what in marriages and relationships, can all be managed well with the help of a counselor. So, as I stated earlier, in order for us to achieve this goal, it's important that we seek counseling in our relationships. When you meet that brother or that sister and you want to enter into a relationship with him or her, it's advisable you speak to your pastor or you speak to a certified counselor. He or she is the third party between you two. He or she can see what you two cannot see and advise you accordingly. There are some temperaments that should never come together to even say they are getting married, because it will always end up backfiring. Example is the melancholy and the phlegmatic and the choleric. The phlegmatic and choleric is mostly a bad combination for marriage, because the phlegmatic doesn't pull himself. The phlegmatic always wants to relax, and the choleric is a doer. It's come on, let's go, let's take a risk, let's do this. And mostly the phlegmatic thinks the choleric is pulling him or her out of a comfort zone and not respecting who or she is, and it ends up creating a lot of problems. And the choleric husband or wife would also think that the phlegmatic husband or wife is not bringing anything on the table, or it's not helping, and it will end up in a mess. So if you seek counseling in all these things, you'd realize that even the person that you seek to enter into a relationship with is not someone to go with in the first place. You don't just base on emotions to say that, oh, I want to be in a relationship with this person, I think I like this person, and because of that feeling and because of that likeness, then they zoom into the sex mode, and then a lot of things get more complicated than it should be. It shouldn't be the case. Let's seek counseling before we enter. When we find that partner, before we enter into a serious relationship stage, let's seek counseling. During the relationship, let's seek counseling, and also after the relationship. I mean, in marriage or after marriage has occurred, we also seek relationships, because the temperament plays out in a lot of seasons and in a lot of phases of life, and God doesn't like divorce, and that's why we need third-party hands to help us in our relationships, because if we don't do that, then we are heading towards a ditch. If we don't seek third-party advice, third-party counseling to help us manage ourselves, how we think, how we feel, our emotional makeup, then we are heading towards a ditch. And that should not be our story as young Christians. And so in this season of love, as we celebrate this year's Valentine, you should know yourself. Know the person you want to be in a relationship with. And also, when you find that person, when you think you have found that person, speak to a counselor, speak to your pastor, speak to someone who can help you understand yourself and understand the person you seek to do relationship with, so that you'll be successful in your relationship. I've been married for 3 years now, and I can testify that counseling has really played a big role in our lives in marriage, because there are certain things that It was purely temperamental, it was purely behavioral. But I couldn't understand my husband, and he couldn't also understand me. But with the help of our counselors, we've been able to manage it, and we are still doing the marriage until Jesus comes. Amen. So in this season of love, understand yourself, understand your psychological makeup, your emotional makeup, and seek counseling when you think you have found your life partner. God richly bless you and have a lovely season. Thank you.